Hello and welcome back to the channel this week. I think we've got a great episode for you. We're going to be talking about old lenses that are becoming new. And really what I'm talking about is when lenses like this beauty right here, this is a Canon FD 200-2.8. It's an internal focus lens and it was gifted to me. And like many of you older photographers that have been around for a long time and you've shot film, you may have some of these lenses still kicking around, or like me, you traded them all in and got the latest stuff because you needed it for work or whatever it was. But what happens with me is that everyone knows me as a photographer. So what do I get these comments? Hey, I've got a bunch of old camera equipment. Do you want to come look at it? And I've done it for a number of people, and I've told them either it's no good, throw it out, or there's some great lenses in there and you might get some use out of them. So after the break, we're going to get right into it. So like many of you, you have friends that have said to you, hey, I've got some cameras, would you mind looking at them for me? And I had a friend of mine that said, hey, I've got some stuff I want to give you. I said, oh, that's great. So I decided to go over to his house and look at the equipment, and what he had was some mint Canon equipment. This is from the probably I think it's the late 70s, early 80s, and this is an A1, and this is a landmark camera, by the way. But more interesting to me, and I hope to shoot some film with it, but more interesting to me was the 28mm f2.8 that he had on here, and the 51.4 and the 200-2.8 internal focus lens. And I've got to tell you that these are all, except for the 28, these two lenses here, the 50 and the 200-2.8, were two lenses that were in my bag when I was working as a photojournalist using film. And this lens, especially the 200-2.8, I can't tell you, I love this lens. This is one of the best lenses I have ever owned. And again, also the 51.4, also the same thing, one of the best lenses I ever owned. So I was so happy to get this stuff and think about using it. So what I did was I have a number of adapters, but I really didn't want to spend $220 for a NovaFlex adapter, which they're absolutely beautiful. But I decided to try an Urth adapter, which I'm pretty sure is a Gobi from China, but it's designed in Australia. And what I decided to do is use it on my Fuji X-T3 or my X-T3, and it's kind of a unique adapter in that, oh, and by the way, I'm not sponsored by Urth or anybody else at this point. So this is just my experience using this particular adapter. And what I found interesting about this adapter is that it's got a ring on here, and I'll show you a close up here, a ring on here that opens the lens up all the way so that you can focus and then closes down to the working aperture. And if you're using the camera on aperture priority, the camera is going to figure out what the exposure is, the shutter speed. So follow me as I go out and take some photographs with this gear. I think it's going to be fun. And you know, I've done some test shots and everything seems to be working all right. Now the biggest thing with adapters is does it focus to infinity? If it doesn't focus to infinity, it's kind of useless. And this one does focus to infinity, so I'm pretty happy about that. So let's go out and make some photographs. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about these lenses that I had before. I didn't own the 28-2.8, I owned a 24-2.8, and I used the 24-2.8 a lot. I really loved that lens. And the next one that I loved a lot was the 200-2.8. I used that lens constantly for sports and for other things as well. And quite honestly, I use the 85-1.8 quite a bit in my work, but the 200-2.8 was just that, you know, more than double of focal length, and I was able to get a lot of shots that I wouldn't normally have been able to get. So I'm pretty excited to get these lenses and see how they perform on the new digital cameras. Okay, so first we're going to try the 28-2.8. And it's not a lens I owned, but it's close. I used to own a 24-2.8. It's a pretty nice lens. Shoot this over here, and then I'm going to shoot a shot back here. Now this lens on this camera is like a 40mm lens. It's a focal length I've never shot with, and actually don't like it at all. I'm either wide or long. So let's get these shots right now. So here we go with this shot. As you can see, you turn this to the right like this, and you focus it at, and I got my focus assist on so I can blow it up 10 times to see what I'm focusing on. And I'm focusing on this part of this lobster trap right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it back, close it down to f8, and make the shot. And everything looks like it's going to be nicely in focus. Boy, this is kind of cool using this lens. Now what I'm going to Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot this wide open, and I'm going to try and get these mostly in focus here. And we shoot a vertical, and we shoot it like this, and you can kind of see what I'm driving at right here. So I've got this so that I can focus right on these ropes here on the front. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this back off again. And this isn't really a wide angle anymore. You can see with the focus peaking, I think. The light's kind of interesting right now. So let's see, we're using the 51.4 here. And I'm going to try, I want to shoot some wide open, so. All right, so we got to use the electronic shutter here. It's at 20,000. How's that? And we're going to focus that wide open here. Put it all the way down. See what we get. And see how it looks. I can get that boat in the background. Pretty cool. Now at f8. Okay, so here it is, the 200-2.8. I really love this lens. So I'm gonna take some shots with it wide open, and then take some shots with it. Now this is the cool thing about on this camera. This makes this a 300-2.8. The 300-2.8 that I used to use was ginormous. It was out here. It was a huge lens. Well, not anymore. It's nice and small. Let's see what happens. Now I'm going to be shooting. Those boats over there. Probably just the top of them. We'll see what happens. We're gonna be vertical, so I have to shoot like this. going to shoot a few more with this 200-2.8, and maybe I'll shoot them different f-stop and see what I get. I can't wait. I don't know, they look pretty nice. So far I've noticed that these adapters do have a problem, and they don't focus to infinity. I can't put this lens on infinity all the way over here, right there at infinity. I can't put it there and get anything in focus. But it does focus pretty far out, just not all the way to infinity, which for landscape work kind of stinks. But for just around stuff like this, it's working great. But, you know, truth in advertising, they say they all focus to infinity. Well, guess what? They don't. Unless I'm doing something wrong, which is entirely possible, but I don't think I am. Followed all the instructions, and they don't focus no infinity. Now, I also bought one for my Leica M240, and it definitely does not focus to infinity, so that one's going back, and it doesn't seem to work nearly as well. So let's go back to the office and see what they look like. So thanks for watching this video, and if you wouldn't mind, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Leave a comment and try out some older lenses. They're great. Yeah, you gotta focus them manually. So what? Focus peaking is unbelievable. So that's it for this week, and remember, it's not what you photograph, it's how you photograph it, and I'll catch you next time.